We're live. Hello. This is live stream number 31, and today we are welcoming Andreas Zeraitis. I'm sorry, Andreas, and Mathieu Ingan. Much easier for me to pronounce. How are you guys doing?
Great, very good. Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure. And usually we present hacks and things. We have a range of presentations here, but today what's particular is that it's a product discovery. At least for me, it's going to be. I've never seen it live, but I'm very curious to hear your approach. So, how did it all started?
It started many years ago. I used to be DJ in Tallinn, so we're located in Tallinn, Estonia, very east and very north of Europe. And I was producing music at home on the computer, and I was producing it with a friend. We're always looking for different ways to have like more human inputs to our production instead of only using keyboard and mouse to make some variation in effect and so on. So we're like experimenting with different tangible interfaces, and there was this great product, Reactable, that we got to know at some point, and the object recognition part of the Reactable actually was open source. So we managed to take this part, take a glass window actually that we found, I think in garbage, to put it on the living room, and we managed to connect this to our digital workstation, and we were just playing at home, triggering loops, and basically just having fun. And then
and that's then where my part comes in. My relationship with music was quite different compared to Mathieu's. For me, I really well remember the music class at school when the teacher said, "Andrus, it's okay if you don't sing and do something else during the class." So after that, I really never thought I'm going to do anything related to music. But life is kind of making jokes. And at some point, I played a bit Incredibox.fr. It's a very nice loop-based application to have fun with music. And so that's when I saw what Mathieu is doing. I kind of related that to my previous experience with the Credibox, and I saw an opportunity to use it for a marketing campaign in the company where I was working at the time, and maybe to make an application where we play music using the tangible objects. And that's how it started. So
Right.
maybe it would be a good time to show a little demo.
Sure.
Perfect. So I'm going to go to the device.
So Andreas, who claims to have zero music knowledge, is going to make a demo on the Mash machine.
All right. Well, full screen on Andreas.
Oh. All right, so that was like a quick demo of Andres playing the mash machine. Now we're gonna basically explain a bit more what is going on exactly. So he's gonna start by playing a drum loop. Where we can have like some effects, we move them around. So here we have a low pass filter. If we move it on the other side of the surface, we have a high pass filter. And on one side we have delay. And on the other side we have a reverb. Now when you bring it in a corner, two effects merge together. So here, high pass and reverb. And in the center, there is no effect. So now he added a melody. He removed the drum. Now only the melody is playing. Added a vocal. And he added a bass. He's looking for a bass. Okay, he found the bass. So now only the melody is playing. And now we have melody, drum, and vocal. So that's pretty much how it works. Every cube represents a loop, and they are arranged in 4 categories. And they're always synchronized, always sounding good together, so they're all made in the same key. And yeah, you cannot make any mistake. And moving them around the surface, you had some effects, like a DJ would do with his mixing table. Thank you, Andreas. That was brilliant. All right, so that was the match machine as we had when we started. So when we were like at the very beginning, we were using the match machine for events and marketing. So we have this big version of the machine, but every time we've been bringing it to events, there's always some people who are asking how they could get such a machine at home. So what we've been doing in the last year, we've been working on reducing the size and trying to bring the same experience for the home use. And that's basically what we're going to be talking a bit more with you today. So yeah, we have next to us one like the same. It's exactly the same version, exactly the same thing, but it's just much smaller. So we have actually, it's actually even making music. It works the exact same way. So for example, oh, I had a drum. Actually, the same music Andres was playing as well.
Mother water, heal our soul. Hey-ya-hey-ya-ho, yana wanna hey-ya-ho. Hey-ya-ho, hey-ya-ho. Hey-ya-hey-ya-ho, yana wanna hey-ya-ho.
So it works exactly the same way. The way it works exactly is it uses, there's a camera underneath that is basically reading some pattern using computer vision, object recognition, so that when we put it on the surface, it is detected by the camera, and then we can get the position. As simple as that. We can have, actually, we can have a look if you are interested.
Yeah, we can show like the bottom of the unit over there.
Oh, maybe let's.
Yeah, sure.
You have to go on the big one.
On the big one, yeah.
So this it doesn't work on the small one. We have to show on the big one. But basically, the idea is that here Andreas is showing some of the objects on the surface, and we have a web interface with which we can actually we use to set up the machine, initialize it before each use, and then we can see that every time an object is detected, then there is some small image that is shown on it. And yeah, all of this using computer vision, it works pretty well, and it's actually quite fast. And that's how all the loops are triggered, all the effects are applied. So on the window, you can see these green rectangles, and each rectangle on each side represents one effect zone, while the middle is where the effects are not activated. But we can show you like the smaller units, how exactly. We have one that we've been assembling them in the last month, and we have actually like so this is the exact same thing that is actually in the box, and we can have like see all the elements in here. So we have a camera in the center, which is connected to a computer which is under. It's running on a Raspberry Pi. Then there is LEDs around to illuminate the inside of the box. Those LEDs are also RGB, so later on we could also introduce some color or different mood for the player or for the home. And then on top of that, we have our own electronic board where we actually have a better sound chip to have to deliver like a high quality sound output, and a fan to keep everything cooled down. That's basically it's very simple, trying to keep things as simple as possible. And yeah, anything to add?
Yeah, I think we can go one step back and talk where we have used this mash machine in the beginning and where it's being used now. So as we mentioned, we started in marketing. So it was in marketing campaigns, as any object that would be tagged could be used to trigger the music. But then after the first campaign, we also had numerous corporate parties. So in the end, we ended up building large mash machine units, and we were selling them to event organizers, museums, venues, marketing agencies, and there are over 120 units worldwide, from Australia to USA, and we're in between. Yeah. As of course the events, they got bleeped by Corona situation. That's already some months before we started to develop our small unit, but with Corona we saw that all the events have stopped, and since beginning of year we sold only 5 units for commercial purposes. So we have sold medium-sized. You can actually, yeah, maybe you can show that one as well. For children entertainment venues, for 2 kindergartens here in Estonia. And this unit that Matteo will soon bring is going to be shipped to Chile later this week. It's going to be for a beer brewer who's going to use it at his events to draw attention and have some fun playing music with this beauty. One interesting concept about content from our side, like for all these events, museums, marketing, we can load any content on Mash Machine. Of course, as we're making sure that the players would not be able to make a mistake, we make it so that all the loops combined would still sound good. So we ask musicians, bands, or studios to prepare and arrange the loops. And for museums, we have had custom editions where we had folk music mixed with metal. In Lithuanian folk museum here in Estonia, for one museum, they learn ingredients of cocktails by mixing music. So the content can be your own as well. For example, I've made a gift for a friend's wedding where I recorded custom vocals, and then we played that during the wedding. So it's another option for the guys who are interested in doing something or playing something on their own. They can do it.
This is great. Did you mind if I ask you a few questions about the unit that you're going to ship to Chile?
Sure.
So is this a kit or is it like a finished product?
It's going to be a finished product that we ship, but at the moment it's not finished. It still needs to be like we still need to install the computer, lights, and camera.
Okay. Well, I have more questions about the product itself, if that's okay. If I know you have prepared a script, but I can't resist asking you a few questions. So
Sure.
you have the technology itself that tracks the movement, like the React table, but then underneath that you have a full digital audio workstation. It seems because you are mixing loops together, you're adding effects. So how did you do that part? Is that using Ableton Live, or it's something you built entirely yourself?
So the very first prototype was actually running Ableton Live, and like so they had like this React table recognition software, few different software in between to translate the input to MIDI, and Ableton just triggering the loop. So I think we had 40 different tracks with one loop in each. But we quickly realized that making a product with third-party software whose license cost €800 is not really feasible. So we quickly realized that we should build our own software, and the same for the React table recognition. In the end, we incorporated our own, like our software takes care of everything from the camera to the video processing to detection of the objects to the loading of the audio effects and so on.
That's amazing, and it's a lot of work.
It is.
So going back to the React table, you said that earlier that it was an inspiration, and I think for everyone, in music in the early 2000s, it was an inspiration to a lot of people because you suddenly had like a physical approach to digital music. But what they did was much more low level. You were manipulating oscillators and filters, so you wouldn't get the same kind of music. And I think your approach lends itself probably more so to social interactions, collaboration around the tabletop, and people mixing different things, not necessarily knowing what they do, but doing it together, and it has a cool sound to it, and it can feel personal if you bring your own samples as well. So what is your approach around this, around the social interaction aspect of what you've created?
What I really like, of course, there are two types of people. Some would always say that playing alone with Mash Machine, that's what they like and that's they want to do. However, for me, and I guess for Mathieu as well, playing with others brings completely different dimension, because then you are not fully in control. You cannot predict what others will do, so you have to improvise on other inputs that are happening, not depending on what you do. So you start reacting to the way others play, and you can get into completely different variations of the sound than you would end up playing on your own. So I think it's very important to experiment and find out completely different ways how to play together with others.
Right.
Also, I think what's important, like compared to the React table, because React table still had this social kind of dimension. More than one person could play at the same time, but where we were really differentiating ourselves is that we are not aiming at professional at all, and anyone, literally anyone, can play with Mash Machine, and I think that's actually what this social interaction is so great. Is a lot of people who never had the opportunity to either learn an instrument or study music can be active when it comes to music and really like have this feeling of creating something with music. So it's always nice when we are in when we see someone who never tried Mash Machine to see like we usually just look at face expressions for the first 5 minutes, and then this usually make our day.
That's great. With regards to open source, we have a question just now on Facebook. Um, the so you spoke about open source and reusing some of the libraries from the React table. So how much is that part of your approach? Is it something that you want to continue doing? I mean, now you've built your own software, but do you want this to be open source?
No, like okay, like just to kind of like answer Ali that yeah, I didn't know how deep we should go in explanation of what our software is based on. Like we were using React table detection algorithm just for the very first prototype, and soon after, basically, I found open source frameworks, C++ frameworks called open frameworks, which we use for everything. And it has a great community behind that. A lot of add-ons that are not in the main frameworks are built by the community. So that's what we're basically using. We started to use it for any of our interactive activities, and soon, like we discovered that this is the software we should, this is the frameworks we should use to build our own software. And yeah, I even made one or two add-ons that are also on my GitHub as well. So like this is, yeah, if people are interested in or know how to use C++, should check open frameworks. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. OpenFrameworks is a very well-known C++ library for many interactive installations, very much used in museums for mixing video and camera recognition and sound as well. So you said earlier, Andreas, that COVID has kind of changed a little bit your plans, and you're adapting now to doing different things. So how do you see the next 6 months, year, in terms of how you're switching maybe your vision of what the Mash Machine is and to who it is for?
So, as we first thought the Mash Machine to be as the activity to bring people together around, in the next 6 months, I hope we're gonna have enough Mash Machine owners around the world that we could stage a non-stop party and DJ 24 hours a day. So if someone finishes, someone else can join. But I think before that, I hope we're still going to be able to make some events here in Estonia, because we don't have harsh restrictions yet. The situation is not that bad. But later on, I think it's also an option to have, with those guys who have Mash machines at home, we can have online mashup parties where people watching could also judge the performances, rate the performances, suggest different ways how to play, some exercises, what the performance can do. So we could play, have fun with music online.
All right. And how about the components that you have inside? I mean, is it something that if you are considering possibly shipping kits, the community of the music hackspace are people who might be very interested in assembling something themselves for a little bit more than the cost of the component. Is that something you would be interested in providing?
That's definitely something we thought of, and something that could be interesting also for us to see how people could use like this platform, like to do their own projects. Some like would be interested to see like exactly what people can come up with, and as let's say like just using not only like using the kit, the electronics as is, but it's also very easy to access all information that we use in the Mash Machine software. So all the object recognition and position, like you were showing before, like quick view or web interface. So basically all this information that comes to the web interface, people can access it very easily using these web technologies, and they could do their own thing, like use it to control visuals. I don't know, automate their house. I don't know. Like it can be used more like as an interface rather than purely and strictly music machine.
That's a great thought. I really like this idea. And do you have like an output that that can send MIDI instructions or control voltage or anything along those lines? USB?
Uh, we had, to be honest, we had MIDI working on the big version. We have MIDI working because we needed it for some custom installation, and we thought that this can be interested for more professional or people will be more like tinkering and linking it either to their workstation or something like that. At the moment, we don't have MIDI included, but this is something that is rather easy to do. And as for control voltage, this we don't have. We're not thinking of it at all. That's a great idea. But this, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, well, I suppose that a lot of modular synthesizer people who possibly could be interested in having something to show that's more than plugging the cables and turning the knobs, but maybe having a dimension that brings this graphical language that you're working with. Um, I have another question around well, the collaboration and this contrast between um, the collaboration and discovering something together, which is important, which is probably why you have so many orders from events and museums, because people go to them and play and have an immediate result, and the contrast between this and the virtuosity. And is it something that you have in mind when you work on it and design the interaction with it, that someone could become a virtuoso of that interface?
I didn't think about it. For me, it was more experience, fun. But yeah, it would be. I think we have now collaboration with one YouTuber coming in, and he is gonna put his own style of music there. So I'm very much looking forward to see what's gonna be the end result of that. But yeah, it's more. No, we have had actually DJs. Like local DJ here in Estonia, DJ Widensky, he had several shows with Mash Machine where he would perform together with a live vocalist. He would have his own DJ decks as well. So then he would jump from Mash Machine to his decks, and then on top there would be live vocals. So it's possible to actually perform. And we had actually more shows where Mash Machine was part of the performance on stage. So there would be other live instrumentalists uh, joining and tuning into the Mash Machine content.
I see. Okay. Uh, did you have anything else? I interrupted your script 10 minutes ago, but I'm curious, what else did you have to show um, about this invention?
What we wanted to, we can still do it, of course, show more about the content that we have.
Yep.
So by now, all the content that we have is produced by different bands, musicians, recording studios, people that we meet. And yeah, we have very huge range of musical experiences on Mash Machine. So from psytrance to jazz and things in between. So for example, we can have, I think on the small unit, I can show a quick demo of Lithuanian polyphonic folk song arranged by band Thundertail for Lithuanian Folk Music Museum. So it's these polyphonic vocals.
Rimo,
And that's one type, and then we can try another sambank right away here. Then let's check something by classical music. And now we can play something like this. So now from Lithuania, we can travel for a minute to India. And yeah, should we travel more? Would you like to Dobranoc? So, for example, Dobranoc is a Balkan music band from St. Petersburg, and we met them in Tallinn Music Week in the festival. And then the 9-member band made us this soundbank.
So that was a good.
Band Dobronoch, if you want to listen for more good Balkan music from Russia, band Dobronoch. Now we see the question from Ale about the mix sets. We call them sound banks, but basically the collection of the music loops that we play on Mash Machine goes the following. We usually split music into 4 categories of sounds. So not always, but like even the last one we played, Dobronoc, it has only 2 vocals. Everything else is instruments and rhythm section and bass. But so we have bass lines, drums, melodies, and vocals. Then we ask musicians to make sure that any combination of them is going to sound good. And they then prepare the files that are the same length, the same BPM, and they in the same key, and that's basically it. And we leave the creative part up for musicians to make it on their own.
So basically, we don't really do. We don't match the bit of different loop BPM. When we are the musician, they all come at the same speed. They're all synchronized, and then after, like, we are just playing them all at the same time, basically. So yeah, we say like they're coming pre-mixed, basically, so that we don't have. That's the way we can make sure that any combination is going to sound good. So we ask the musician to make sure that if we take any drum with any bass and any melodies, it has to sound right. So the problem is sometimes that when we ask musicians or producer to make the sound banks for us, and they never tried the Mash Machine before, then they imagine us using their music a little bit differently. So there is often a little back and forth, like explaining, like, okay, that maybe this loop doesn't go very well with this one because some detail, but that's pretty much how it goes. So we ask simple loop, same length, same BPM, same key, and the rest should work.
And ideally using less effects, because then it's better to give the player the opportunity to add low pass, high pass, reverb, or delay on the loop, rather than to have the loop already with loads of effects on it.
And then after, when it comes to the length of the loop, we have had like most of our sound banks are around 8 bar, but some goes up to 32 bar. But we realize, like, if anyway someone is playing with it, then 8 bar is enough. Like, there are going to be variation because the player is going to be doing the variation himself. And we haven't tried actually using stems yet, because the problem comes with licensing. And at the moment, all music that were on the Mash Machine, we have the right to use it. Whereas, like, with stems, we wanted to either try with stems or with sample packs and loop packs. But then there is always a problem of licensing, and you cannot just use them as is and just like disseminate them around.
I think another issue with stems would be that they are basically the full length, right, of the song, rather than, because like on Mash Machine we need the looped content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we still need to be.
We would need to kind of
cut, yeah.
trim, chop the stems, and then maybe that would work.
But yeah, like with the opening of this stems, like I think it was a few years ago that Beatport has opened up this. So we see that actually the music is going in this direction as well. That people are also interested to get tracks like separated, so that they could like put their own sauce on it and like, yeah, tinker a bit. So yeah. But like, yeah, the process with a musician is always interesting, and yeah, often when we're in events, parties, and we hear someone that is a musician or else, then we we give out a speech at the same time, asking if they're interested to get their music on our machine, and that's it. Actually brought us to some quite interesting opportunities with that.
So yeah, with Mash Machine, we have been in Burning Man. So that was the furthest this device has brought us so far.
This is great to hear. I think you mentioned that you had jazz examples as well. I'd be very curious to see how your structure adapts to this and how the mix sets work.
All right, Andres is going to put some.
I think jazz is available only on the large unit because this one has only 18.
Ah,
Shall we play on the large unit then?
okay, so we're gonna need to put it on the big unit. We don't have it on the small one. Bad preparation.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, it's up to you. If it's too complicated, don't worry about it.
No, nothing is complicated with Mash Machine. And
What a
I'm
statement.
already going there.
All right.
Take the light with you. Okay, I'm gonna set up the. Just a sec. Not your height.
Okay. Yeah, here I have everything.
All right, I think we have it.
Jazzy bubbles.
That's not jazz.
Is this one jazz?
Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up and stay right. Straighten up and fly right. Fly right. Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up and stay right. Straighten up and fly right. Fly right. Zwaba umpaya papayo pao.
Bravo.
This is great. Thank you very much for indulging
You
me.
you liked Andrea's jazz?
Very much, very much.
I have to say, it was. I felt it was quite inspired, and it was very nice. I really enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about Glenn Gould. Glenn Gould was saying many years ago that in the future, with the hi-fi systems of the future, you could fine tune every aspect of your song and listen, and change the finest things. And I don't think any hi-fi systems has ever realized Glenn Gould's vision that matter. But with this, what I really like is that you can reinterpret a song. In fact, in a way that makes it more interactive, and you can revisit it. It's more interactive.
One of the first sound banks made for a mash machine was by a band from Austria, Kultura. And what they did, they mixed up four of their songs for a sound bank. So basically, they took the best parts of the songs and made it as a loop pack. I really enjoyed the sound bank. I didn't hear the songs before of the band, so we were playing the sound bank a lot. It was feeling great. The music is awesome. Everyone is enjoying. And at some point, after a few weeks, I felt like, okay, I need to check the original songs. So the original songs, all of them sounded so weird after playing that mashup of them. It felt completely different. It's like, yeah, it's. I think the first time the guys of the members of the band saw the mash machine, how others were playing, they were just standing and watching for an hour, and only then they were like, okay, now let's go and we play. But first, because for them it was interesting to see so many different combinations and variations of the content they actually made, but others are interpreting and combining in a completely different ways.
That's very interesting. I think as a source of inspiration for musicians as well, who want to create this new approach and refresh the work they're doing. I think that's very interesting. So collaboration is a big part of what you do. You collaborate with musicians. You collaborate, with the Open Frameworks community as well. Are you looking for more of those? Where you're at right now, are you looking for help on the engineering side, on the music side?
We are definitely looking forward to expand the Mash Machine library of sounds. At the moment, we are still thinking of which way to go, but in the long run, we want to have a database where creators can upload their content, and then they can get their efforts paid back as others are purchasing their content or they are subscribing to their content. So it would be a online platform for content, kind of marketplace where creators can sell what they are producing.
Okay.
So if there are any musicians who are interested in it, contact us and let's see what we can figure out.
Great. Okay. And would they have to come to visit you in Estonia?
No, it's very okay to do it virtually.
But our door are open. If they want to visit, our office door is open. That's no problem. We're not pushing them away. No.
Well, it's fascinating to see Andreas from Lithuania and you, Mathieu, from France, colliding in a different country and building a new product. And your approach is reminds me of a lot of approaches of the people who are part of the music hack space, because they do have an idea, a vision, and then they have some technical skills, and those are brought together to build this. So how is Tallinn as a culture, culturally for entrepreneurs like yourselves, and in the music field, is there an active community there?
Talent overall, I like to compare it to United States because it's crazy international. There's so many founders. There's a whole culture about doing something, making a business. Um, since the beginning of Skype, which was partly made here in Estonia. Since then, there are quite many skilled tech people, and Estonia has the biggest per capita unicorn count. So I think now it's 4 or 5 1 billion companies which started in Estonia, and
Okay.
it's a country of only 1 million people. So it's a huge ratio immediately.
Right.
Music-wise, like what Estonia is quite now famous for is like it's doing the Tallinn Music Week. It's actually the smallest country of Baltic states, but it's making the biggest international music festival here. Um, but yeah, we haven't been very active with Tallinn Music Week yet, but let's see how it goes. We have another festival for kids happening in 2 or 3 weeks. My legs are crossed because I think fingers are not enough that it will still happen. But it's about 2 day festival for children, and there's going to be music workshops. We're going to have several Mash Machine devices there as well. So there are definitely things happening here in Estonia.
Well, fingers crossed for the future of the Mash Machine. I wish you the best of luck. And yeah, and on this, I mean, I wonder if there's any question coming from Facebook or YouTube. But if not, I would like to invite you to concluding words and maybe give some ideas for people who would be interested in collaborating and of how to reach you.
Well, anyone interested to get in touch, you can do so on our website, mashmachines.com, where you can also sign up for newsletter. So if anything big comes up, we are also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Mash Machine. And yeah, we're all very open. Anyone has some ideas, collaboration, will be music or like other projects they have in mind. We're very happy to talk and see like where anything can happen. So yeah, you never know when a great opportunity can arise. So yeah, our email box are open for such contact.
On my side, I would also add that if you are interested on having fun with music with friends or family, and then I think Mash Machine could be one of the best things to get locked down with or be isolated with. And we are shipping them globally, and we have more units in our stock. So if you want it, catch us on online, and yeah, we can ship one to you.
Okay, well, message received, and I think for this community in particular, I mean, I think a kit would be fantastic. But we can talk about this later. Well, thank you very much, Andreas and Mathieu. All the best for the future of this project, and that was the end of the 31st live stream of the Music Hackspace.
Well, thank you very much, Jean-Baptiste, for the opportunity, and yeah, happy to do it again anytime soon.
All right. Well, next year we'll see where you are.
Yes, and if we pass by London, we'll let you know.
Okay, I look forward to that. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you. Ciao.
Thank you for everything. Bye.